Hey, I am Julia Kelly, and I'm doing a quick post RWA wrap up. I'm super tired. I literally just got back about 24 hours ago from San Antonio, where the the Romance Writers of America had their annual conference, and no makeup, hair up on my head, cut up t-shirt. That's what you're getting right now, because that's about all I can do. I started to put together a blog post, and then I realized that what little energy I have right now and mental capacity actually needs to go towards working on some edits that I have to get done by mid-month. So you're going to get me in my unadulterated form. So enjoy that. I just wanted to talk a little bit about some of the things that happened this year, some highlights, and also some things that were unexpected or different from last year, which was my first year. Me and the first draft ladies kind of talked a bit about that in our Google Hangout / YouTube video, which people actually walked up to me and said thank you for that and recognized me. It was the weirdest experience. I work with TV news reporters all the time, and they get recognized all the time. And so when we're out in the place that we actually report, and it was a very, very odd experience to have people pulling me out of lines and saying, "Oh my God, I watch your videos," and it was awesome, and it was just awesome. So thank you so much if you walked up and said something about the first draft videos. I know my counterparts all were absolutely thrilled. We kept texting back and forth. It was really an absolute thrill. So San Antonio is a really, really hot place. We're going to start out with that right now. And the conference hotel is a really cold place. It was freezing in that hotel, especially in certain ballrooms, and you could kind of tell as people were walking into places. There were lots of cardigans and jackets getting thrown on. So I was freezing most of the conference, or sweating like crazy. The San Antonio Glow, I started calling it. But it was a really enjoyable place. We were right on the Riverwalk, and I felt like the people of San Antonio showed some pretty good hospitality to us. So one of the big things that struck me about this conference was how different it was from a personal experience position from last year. So last year was my first conference in Atlanta. It was a conference hotel that just had the one location. This conference hotel was split between two locations, and I was going back and forth across the street this year a little bit. That was totally fine. I didn't mind it. It was a little crazy sometimes, sprinting from one conference room to the other, and the breaks for lunch were not particularly long, but I did manage to eat, as I told people. The biggest change for me probably was there was less wandering without a sense of purpose, and more kind of focused activity. And I don't mean that the wandering without a purpose wasn't a positive thing. Last year I had a lot of luxury to do kind of whatever I wanted. So go to workshops that I wanted to. I wasn't double booked for anything. I didn't have lunches scheduled or anything like that until I met the other first timers that I ended up hanging out with and becoming good friends with. There was a lot more unstructured time and a lot more rest and relaxation time, if I'm going to be totally honest. This year was much more focused. I had, before I went, probably a half a dozen things on my calendar, and then that just exploded when I actually got there. So, a lot of stuff was social, so it was, happy hours and dinner plans and lunch plans and breakfast plans and all those types of plans, meeting in the hotel bar plans, but a lot of it also was structured, agency meetings and drinks with editors and things like that. So it was it was a pretty different experience. I didn't get in as many workshops as I initially wanted, but I kind of reconciled myself to just buying the conference recordings on the second day, and that was a huge, huge help. Another thing that really was very different was coming in on Tuesday afternoon as opposed to Wednesday afternoon. Wednesday is the big literacy signing. That's kind of the only thing that's on the docket for Wednesday, the only big thing, unless you do the first timers orientation or the librarian day mini conference or any of those mini conferences, which I didn't last year. I went straight to the literacy signing, which was insane. And this year I landed mostly because I wanted to make sure I got plenty of time to see Alexis Ann and Mary Chris Escobar and Tracy Puckett. We ended up spending quite a bit of time together, hung out, and then I actually met a couple of other people, TJ Klein and A.L. Parks, through them, and so we kind of formed this cluster of people, and Alexandra Houghton and all these wonderful, wonderful people kind of joined us and were in and out of in and out of things on the first night. So it was pretty exciting being able to see them and be social, and again, meet these people I talk to every single day, some of whom I knew, some of whom I met already, some of whom I interact with online and over email. So it was great putting names and faces together, and that was a lot of this weekend, was walking around and people being like, I know you, and at signings walking up to authors thinking you're just gonna, ask them for a book, and then being like, oh my god, we talk on Twitter all the time, this is great. So that was definitely a different experience. I think really one of the most valuable things about the conference for me this year was making those connections and meeting people outside of my circle and my group, and having lunch and trying to pay it forward, and asking first timers to dinner and to lunches that I got asked to last year. So hopefully we were able to reach a couple of people, and they enjoyed that experience. So. One of the big things this year also was the Ritas. Some pretty exciting stuff. So you get to put on a nice dress anyway. It's the one time I'm guaranteed to have a black tie event this year, and I'll probably do something picture-wise on my blog. If not, everything's on Facebook, Instagram. But the Ritas were great for a couple reasons this year. First of all, it was the day before TJ Klein's birthday, so we actually went and snuck down to the bar and got her a bottle of champagne, came back up and very, very loudly and embarrassingly off-pitch sung Happy Birthday in the middle of the Ritas while everybody was getting seated. And then it was just a wonderful, wonderful ceremony. Very, very touching. I sobbed buckets, and I actually had tissue this year, which I didn't last year. But it was exciting for a couple reasons. Molly O'Keefe, who is a friend on Twitter and who I got to meet this weekend, won a Rita for a book that I just love, Crazy Thing Called Love, and so that was thrilling. And Carolyn Crane won the first ever first ever Rita for a self-published book. So her romantic suspense won that award, and that was really thrilling to see. I was sitting at a table with a bunch of indie authors, and I'm glad to see this part of this area of RWA becoming more accepting and more wide-reaching. So congratulations to both of them, and congratulations to all the winners and the Golden Heart winners too. It's just incredibly touching to see everybody give their speeches and just be moved to be recognized in the industry. So I was absolutely sobbing like a baby, and so was Alexis Ann, and I think the two of us kept each other going and just went and sobbed and sobbed and sobbed, and laughed and sobbed and laughed and sobbed. My favorite story out of the Ritas was probably that poor Molly O'Keefe had to pack her Rita. So Rita's about this big. She looks like an Oscar, kind of, except she's sitting and reading. But she's that kind of idea, gold. You can Google her, gold statue. So Rita went in Molly's bag, and Molly's airline actually lost her luggage. So Molly arrived, but Rita didn't arrive. The last that I heard from her on Twitter, Rita is in customs, clearing customs in her bag. So hopefully all goes well, and the Canadian Border Authority doesn't think that she's something very suspicious. And Rita will be sitting next to Molly's computer sometime soon, so that's my hope, at least. Other than that, it was just, the conference didn't stop when the conference stopped. I ended up sitting next to Susan, an author out of the Bay Area, another Californian, and we chatted through the plane flight to Atlanta, and then, kind of made my way home and braved the New York City cab line, and brave being in a New York City apartment, and very happy to be back in my own bed. I'm recovering, this contrary to popular belief, and I've been getting a lot of words done today, a lot of editing done. So I'm actually going to go push through with that and leave you to it this year. My hope is that I will get to see all of you next year at RWA in New York City. We will be hosting RWA next year, so I'm really, really thrilled to show everybody a really good time in my adopted city of choice. So please, if you had a good reading experience, anything to mention, absolutely leave a comment. Otherwise, I'm done, guys. I'm fried. That's all you're getting from me, and I'm going to say goodnight.